Don't care if they had help. Win's a win. They scored 4 earned runs on their own. The Phillies 8-2 victors over the Colorado Rockies. Kyle Gibson picking up the win. Ricky Pitalico, Ben Davis, I'm Michael Barkan, and we welcome you to Phillies Postgame Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance. This is what the doctor ordered. Any means necessary, they got those runs.
Yeah, they did. Well, you take advantage of bad defense, and that's exactly what the Phillies did early on in this ball game. I mean, granted, even on the Kyle Schwarber so-called double to center field, Blackman lost it in the sky. Next thing you know, Phillies scored 2 runs on that. But it's tacking on. They did that very well in this ball game. Also, I was actually saying something to Ben upstairs that we were talking about I was talking about their at-bats, and it seemed like their bats became more patient as they felt like they were going to win the game. They had a 2-run lead, 4-run lead. All of a sudden, you saw a lot better at-bats out of the Phillies.
Ben, when you look at Kyle Gibson tonight, he started out maybe a little slow. You look at those 2 home runs allowed, and you're thinking, I don't know. But he hung in there nicely and gets the win.
You got to tip your cap to him. He did a very good job of controlling that sinker. The changeup was very good, mixing a couple breaking balls as well. But I think after that first pitch of the ball game, we kind of think, oh, man, it's going to be one of those nights. But he really settled in, just gave up the 2 runs in 5 2/3. But this bullpen was awesome as well. 3 1/3. No, just 1 hit, no walks, 1 strikeout. They did a phenomenal job. And I really think that the pitch of the game was that double play ball that Familia was able to
blew up his bat.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's go across the street. We check in with John Kruk, called tonight's game with Tom McCarthy. John, Bryce Harper just told you it'll come, it'll happen. Tonight's a stepping stone to tomorrow and the weeks ahead. Chances that will actually be so.
Michael, I firmly believe that this team is going to hit homers, but to me, this was the best game I've seen a Phillies team play in a long, long time. They ran the bases well. They were aggressive. They forced the Colorado Rockies to have to make plays by putting that pressure on them, and they situational hit very well tonight. Reese hits that ball to left field. Gene takes the extra base to third, and Reese follows him to second. So now with Bryce up, I honestly thought they might try to walk him. But, he hits the first pitch deep enough to center to not only score Segura, but he gets Reese to third, where Reese eventually scores. But, when we talked about this team in spring training, after they signed Schwarber and Castellanos, we thought, this team's going to hit 1,000 homers. Well, they had 1 home run tonight, and it was a solo homer. But they had 6 singles out of their 9 hits, but they ran the bases great. So they're turning those singles into doubles, and then going first to third, making them make plays. And if you can make teams make plays, sometimes you're going to force them into errors. And I think the Phillies tonight sped the game up for the Rockies.
How important is this game as a stepping stone for the Phillies? Because you look at their record right now, they need to put together a little bit of a streak. I'm looking. You got to hope that they take at least 3 out of 4 in this series. Am I right?
Yeah, they got to start winning series. I know that everyone says it's early, and it is. But the Mets don't seem like they're going to be going anywhere anytime soon. And eventually, they're going to get DeGrom back, and that puts a lot of stress on the rest of the division if DeGrom comes back and can pitch like Jacob DeGrom is capable of pitching. But if they continue to play like this and they take what the opposition's giving them, look, the humidor, the cold weather, ball's not traveling, I get it. But their approach tonight was so much better than it has been since the Oakland series to start the season, with their situational hitting, with putting balls in play, making the Rockies make plays. And and they took advantage of mistakes, and that's what good teams do. If you make a mistake, you make them pay, and the Phillies tonight made them pay.
No bigger mistake than the outfield made tonight for the Rockies. Schwarber gets that bloop double. What can you tell us about the psyche of that going into maybe snowballing into something real positive for Schwarber moving forward?
Well, as someone who was a really crappy outfielder, Ben, I can tell you this. As soon as you let that ball drop in between you, you're thinking to yourself, what inning was it, the 5th, 4th, 5th inning, whatever?
Was it that twilight time where the sky was almost
awful.
purple?
That's awful. And that's where, I begged the center fielder, you got all these because I can't see squat, but once that ball dropped, it's like you can see them. Grichuk and Charlie Blackmon just looking at each other like, oh, gosh. At that point, as I've done that before, and it's let in a couple runs, you feel like, oh, this game's over. We just don't have it tonight, and let's finish this thing up, and we'll go get them tomorrow. But like I said, the Phillies took advantage of every mistake that the Colorado Rockies made, and they did it by putting balls in play, and that's huge for any team. The more you put the ball in play, the more pressure you're putting on the defense.
John, they have played 5 series, entered a 6th now. They have won the first game of 4 series so far, including tonight's game number 1 of this one. I'm hoping that it provides a little vibe for them. Do you have a sense that it will?
Yeah, you know why? Because just watching them tonight, you can see it was a whole different approach for them, for the offense. Trying to do everything they can to put balls in play. They didn't chase a lot of bad pitches. There's some indifferent calls sometimes, but they didn't let that affect them tonight. And they stayed with the game plan, and the game plan was, to me, what I saw, the game plan was put as many balls in plays as possible, and if we get a hit or it goes in a gap or, Bryce hit one over the fence, then so be it. But the more balls we put in play, the better chance we have of scoring a bunch of runs, and they did.
Inside the box score of an 8-2 win, courtesy of 9 hits, Rhys Hoskins gets 3 of them. JT Realmuto gets 2 of them. Look at the RBIs and the runs scored. My goodness, looking pretty good for the top half of the lineup. And Alec Boehm has an RBI as well. Camargo and Vreeling, nada tonight. Here's Joe Girardi postgame.
Got to be happy with the way Gibson recovered after that first one.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty quick, right? And then he gave up a home run the first hit of the second inning, and then did a fantastic job. He threw really, really well tonight, gave us 6 good innings, and really pleased.
That those 2 home runs were just where those pitches were placed?
Yeah. I'm going to guess they were both middle. You probably saw them better than I did, but they were probably both middle. Yeah, it was a curveball, but I don't think it got down. And my guess, it was in the middle of the plate.
You talked about kind of hitting into some bad luck, so you get that ball that Schwarber hits.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like you're due.
Yeah, I felt like we were due because I think we've lined out a number of times. It's just been, some bad luck. So you keep hitting the ball hard. Eventually, you're gonna get some breaks, and we got one tonight.
How much did Kyle need it too, just after last night and all that, and then first at bat tonight with the bases loaded?
Well, I told him he was smarter tonight. Hit him where they can't see it.
I think he's kind of handled this whole start. It started great in the first game, and it's been.
I think he's handled it actually really well. He's the same guy every day. If you look at his numbers last year in the month of April, he's actually got more home runs and RBIs this April than he did last April. And he had a pretty slow start. I think he ended up about 205 by the end of the month. But there were a lot of days he was in the 100s, and then he really got going.
Good work by the bullpen.
Yeah.
Good work by Sir Anthony there. Gibson was at 94. Did you think about letting him see Crone, or that is?
Yeah, I just felt like he was getting near the end. I wanted a fresh arm. So I went to Sir Anthony, and then, Familia did a fantastic job coming in after Sir, hits a hitter and then gives up a base hit. Norwood threw a really good inning, and so did Falter, where we didn't have to use any more of our back-end guys.
I see Bryce getting into 1-2. I mean,
Yeah.
Like maybe think he's getting any closer.
Yeah, I think he is. I think a lot of these guys are really going to start to heat up. I really believe that in my heart. And we'll see some bigger outputs, I think, from this offense for sure.
JT mentioned some work he was doing with Kevin Long, like adjusting his leg kick and simplifying the swing. Have you seen the results of that so far?
Yeah, I mean, we started to see it right away in spring training, right? At times, his leg kick got really big last year, and that's, for a hitter, that's pretty hard to manage. And he's tried to simplify it, and I think it's helped him, and I think as he gets more at bats, he's going to see even more production.
Joe Girardi saying a lot of these guys are going to begin to heat up. I really feel that in my heart. Certainly we saw tonight Ricky and Ben from most of the lineup. The thing is, they have a losing record at this point in the season, and these guys need to all pitch in to get them wins. I mean, even if they don't heat up, they got to win
I don't
games.
necessarily believe that. I don't think everybody has to pitch in every night. I think you have enough firepower in that lineup to win games if only 2 guys get hot in a certain amount of time. You don't need 1 through 9. They didn't have it tonight. You look at the bottom of the order, 7, 8, 9 was 0 for 12. They still scored 8 runs. See what I mean? There's certain times where the big hits are the ones that count. Or, you know what, taking care of a miscue by the other team, then getting a double to center field where they don't come up with it. Everything counts at this time, but you don't need all 9 guys going at one time.
Ben, what do you think?
I do agree with what Bryce said after the game. He said we made Freeland work a little bit more. They did see a lot more pitches. I mean, Freeland threw in 5 innings. He threw 101 pitches. And that's not something that we've seen out of starting rotation facing the Phillies, not at all. So that was a good thing. 101 pitches in 5 innings, that was good. They got that pitch count up, fouled a lot of pitches off. They only struck out 8 times tonight. They did have 9 hits. What I saw out of Bryce today, and again, this is something that, as badly as he may think he is right now, I always want the guy on my team that I don't care what his batting average is. If he's a guy that you can rely on to drive guys in, be that RBI guy, the guy that you can depend on to get runs across home plate. That's the guy I want. I know his batting average is in the 230s, but he's got 13 RBIs right now. And like I said, he's on pace for 120 or so. So that's a good sign for me that he's still getting production by driving guys in.
Got 2 of them tonight.
It's funny because when you think about last year, the one thing I kept saying, what you would ask me, what's going to hold him back from the MVP? I said, he needs to pick up some RBIs. And this year, it's a little bit opposite. Maybe he needs to pick the batting average up a little bit.
Just a little bit.